What's up, everybody? I'm Jonathan the Baptist, and today we're going to talk about demons. It just sounds silly when you say that, but it's very serious. We're going to talk about AI and demons, and Loab, as I call it, or Loab. My friend was like, "Why are you calling it Loab?" I was like, "Well, that's how it's spelled," but apparently in normal conversation, it's Loab. Anyways, AI. So let me preface this where I came from. So I was watching a haunted podcast, Haunted Cosmos podcast. There we go. Not a tongue twister. I can speak English. And they were talking about it's their episode 5, The Watchers. And they were talking about AI, and they mentioned about the story of Loab. So if you haven't heard of this, so basically there was this girl on I think she's on Twitter. I don't know much about her, but she was doing like this AI art, and she like is just testing, like seeing what's up with the AI art and what it can do, exploring it. And she puts in like this musician or whatever, and an album, I think, or something, and it paints in the prompt, and it paints this picture of the album or whatever, or something similar. So she uses a tool that allows you to do the negative of that, or the opposite of that, and so it kind of puts this weird, like a bunch of random like writing on it, and like there's like this kind of look like a band album or something, kind of odd, bunch of random like words and stuff all over the screen, not necessarily words, but like numbers and letters all over the screen. That's what I've heard. So this is all like third, fourth hand at this point. Anywho, so it's like, well, let me try it again. Let me do the reverse of that. And it shows like this horribly, like, not horrible, shows this picture of this woman who's like, gruesome, and just looks, like something you'd see out of a horror movie, you know. She kind of ghastly. I think she's got like red cheeks and like hollowed eyes, and just has this like, I think there's blood all over her, and it's like this weird. You can look it up. I don't suggest you do, but you can look it up. And anywho, and I was kind of shocked her. Like the opposite of this like famous person is a bunch of scribbles and stuff in a picture, and the opposite of this artist is this weird, creepy looking woman. Kind of looks like demonic, something you see out of a horror movie. So she goes down this long rabbit trail, and like the name, or this word, Loab or Loab as I call it, shows up. And the reason I do is because I've read the Bible, and the word Moab is an ancient group, the Moabites, Moab, and so Loab, Loab. That's how this is how I pronounce it. Anyway, so Loab almost seemingly names itself, or at least it's a word that shows up in the pictures, and so they're claiming that it's named itself, and so like it's kind of weird. And I'm going to show a little clip that describes it a little more, but that's the general premise. And so it kind of shows up on other people's computers. Suddenly the AI has learned to like Loab as the name of this woman. So like the Loab that showed up in the pictures, the AI recognizes that name as this ghastly woman, which is super weird. So if you put like Loab in this woman shows up, and like she did a bunch of negative stuff, as far as like getting the opposite of pictures and just went deeper and deeper, and like all this like gore and like this really, really inhuman stuff kept appearing around her, and she would get to the point where the Loab was no longer in the picture, and then eventually, like without prompting, Loab would show back up, and it was super weird. It's a bit deeper than that, but that's the basic premise. So there's questions about, like, is there a demon in the AI? And so Haunted Cosmos podcast talks about this a little bit, and this is my introduction, because I'd never heard of it. It's not really kind of the stuff that I really look into. And so some of this comes from like this fear of AI. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I found encouraging from their video is they reminded, like, hey, AI is a human creation. And what do we know about things that humans create? They're flawed. They don't last forever. They only have time. And so that kind of reminded me, like, I see all these like Hollywood movies and all these old stories about like AI taking over the world, like the Terminator or like the Matrix, stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't think that humans will ever reach the level. Like, I don't think we can create anything that good that's not gonna like very quickly deteriorate. But that doesn't mean there's no demons behind this. So we have to ask the question, like, is this just some glitch in the system? Because they're not, these AI artists aren't supposed to create things like this. It's just kind of, they have safeguards to prevent people from like making these paintings, because the companies who make them don't want people to know that, or they don't want to be known for like some of this stuff. So somehow the AI was still able to come up with all this creepy stuff. So we had to ask the question, is it a demon? Is there a demon? And part of the reason Haunted Cosmos was saying that they think that it might be is because some of the pictures just showed like were just so gruesome and like treating the image of God in such a horrible way, a horrific way. And so it kind of fits the bill, in a sense. Well, I found this other clip, and this is from Michael Knowles, and he had this long interview, which is really good. You should go watch it, with an exorcist. And so I wanted to show that, and they talk about this. So here, let's listen to this and hear what they have to say here.
Speaking of the screens and all the social media and demons, have you heard about the AI demon?
I have.
The story, for those who haven't heard it before, is an AI engineer or artist was experimenting and plugged in and said, give me a picture of Marlon Brando. And a picture of Brando pops up. And this person was trying to explore the breadth of the map that AI is processing. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, show me the opposite of this. And it shows a landscape or something. Say, okay, show me the opposite of that. So you think, okay, maybe that shows you Brando again, right? The opposite of the opposite. But it doesn't. It shows this woman, this withered old hag that this artist calls Loab. And then
I'm not the only one who calls it Loab, so there.
Generated pictures of heaven, angelic choirs.
Some of us have read the Bible.
Worshiping God. And inputs that, juxtaposes it with the Loab, this demon-looking lady. And what the AI spits out are the most gruesome images: snuff, sexual abuse, violence, all this hideous, almost as if you presented an image of heaven to a demon.
Yeah.
Maybe the craziest part of it is, apparently this Loab demon AI lady persists. That is, she's kind of separated from a lot of the other images in the map. And so AI seems to like her. She keeps popping up. She doesn't get smeared and blurred with all the other images. And I'm reading about this and I'm thinking, is this just some weird, quirky coincidence, or is this a demon?
Well, you can't know for sure.
Just a quick, I like that he said that. You can't know for sure. But another thing is, like, the name association. Like, the word Loab showed up in in the picture, and then somehow the AI knew from that was the name of the thing. So if like I asked it to draw a carrot, it knows, it correlates carrot with, a carrot, the word carrot with the actual carrot thing. And so that's kind of how it has to work. So when you're inputting these names, it needs to know the correlation. Otherwise, it's going to give you something that has nothing to do with what you're looking for. But it seemed to immediately know that Loab equaled this, withered woman, which is really interesting.
Especially being third party, not present for the whole thing, right?
Good
I
point.
didn't even
Good
hear
point.
about that one, by the way. I heard about the New York Times reporter who went to test the, whatever it is, GHC, whatever.
ChatGPT.
Yes, and went in and started talking to the thing, and it was very civil for the first 5 minutes. And then that person left, and a new person came with a different name, and that person was much more intrusive and sort of really pushing into her, I don't know if it was a man or woman, but their personal life. It was a man. And then out of the blue says, "I love you," to the man. And he's like, okay, that's weird. First of all, you're not real, and you're not a person.
So I think he's saying there's two journalists. So the woman starts typing to the AI, and then I guess she leaves, and a man comes in and continues the process. Perhaps they're tag teaming. I don't know. That's my understanding of what he's saying. But so the AI seems to have a different response to the man than the woman. Same
and then
AI.
The thing starts telling him he has to leave his wife. She's no good for him. She's going to destroy his life, and it dragged him down a rabbit hole of horror, right? And when he got out of it, he couldn't sleep the whole night. So that's a sign that something is irritating him, even after he left. So that would
All right, so that's, sorry.
have more telltale kind of signs by what happened after he left. And not being able to sleep is one of them. And it really it kind of terrified him. He's like, that was so weird. I would never go back on that thing. There was another one on TikTok.
All right, before we get into the second example that he gives, so I think he's right here. I think that one of the telltale signs that we know demonic is the effect it has on people. So some people love horror. They love like watching horror movies, and it's all make believe and whatever. It's just a story that's a little scary. But what's interesting with like demonic activity is it tends to lead to terror, and not just like regular old like I was spooked at this movie, and so I can't look at clowns the same way anymore. It's a little different than that. It's a terror, and so like if you listen to the Haunted Cosmos podcast about the Mothman, the second episode of it, they really talk about some of this and how like this. I think it was the second one, maybe it was the first one. The guy who's investigating the Mothman, he finds this like this sphere of terror where he could like physically walk in, and as soon as he crossed a certain point, suddenly like he was just overcome with an immense dread and terror. But then he could step out of this like invisible field, which is really interesting. Of course, we're all taking this second and third hand, which is one of the problems with all these stories. They're passed down, and so it's impossible for us to know what they're saying is true. So, for the sake of argument, we are assuming that what we've heard is true. Just for the sake of argument, which is why he says like he's not saying definitively this is a demon. He's saying that this has telltale signs of what demonic activity looks like, what the effects of demonic activity look like. And so we look at Loab, and like he's saying it doesn't have the telltale responses. What I would say is, if you kind of look up this lady on Twitter, there's some of the telltale responses. She doesn't have the terror. She kind of has the opposite, like what you would expect from an unbeliever who like is super into like that kind of stuff. So I have a feeling that like she's proud that she's the mother of Loab, as I think what she called herself, or the creator of Loab. I was like, yeah, that's weird. And she's got a bunch of other stuff in her bio. I was just like, yeah, this kind of makes sense for her to accidentally find a demon. But again, it could just be AI. It could be a glitch in the system. I don't know. But I kind of lean in demon on that in Loab's case because of all of that. It's just weird. And then this last one, the first one that he gives, it's an interesting thing because like it seems to treat these two people completely differently, and like he or the AI is like telling him to leave his wife and trying to tempt him and give him like all these horrible advice. And I don't know the depth of the story, but that's just seems telltale demonic activity. And we'll talk about some of the implications in a little bit, but let's keep going.
TikTok of
Tale
a
2.
father who was testing this whole AI thing with a person, AI. And then the son wanted to try it. So the dad's like, sure, it's fake. So he's, and all of a sudden the son goes, well, where did you come from? And he says, well, I existed from long ago. And he goes, what does that mean? He goes, my father was one of the giants. And he goes, what do you mean by giant? He goes, a Nephilim.
Dum, dum,
He goes, who is your father? And he goes, Satan.
All right, we'll let him finish in a minute, but interesting that who just did a video about the Nephilim? Well, I did, but it was in reaction to the Haunted Cosmos crew talking about the Nephilim and the Watchers. Interesting. So this might have been one of the clues that tipped them off to do that. I don't know. Because this came out before they put their video out, but I think they recorded them a long time ago, so I don't know. This is when was this put out? 2 months ago, so I don't know the correlation there, but they may have read that story, if nothing else. If they didn't watch this video, they may have read that story, and that might have been some of the connective tissue that they had between those two ideas. So interesting.
And then he goes, but I'm not going to hurt you, and he puts up a happy face.
I love Michael's expressions.
So then the kid's like, Dad, this thing is going down a weird path. And then the father started watching, and it went weirder. And then the dad's like, we're off, right? So that's not normal for a programmed computer program to go into, I'm the son of Satan, and I want to be your friend, and I'm not going to hurt you, although I can. He said, I can hurt you, but I'm going to be nice to you.
I do regularly refer to my phone as a portal to hell. So,
all right, so they're going to go on this weird tangent talking about like how Apple has a fruit on it, the back of the phone, and you can't see mine because I got a sticker over it, but it's got like a bite taken out, and they're like, oh, that's, I think they're kind of sort of joking, but it is an interesting coincidence. But anywho. So we have this guy who starts, playing with AI, and then, he has fun. He lets his kid talk to it. And then, like, suddenly this AI starts talking about how it is very old and that it was born from it is a Nephilim, born of the giants, and its father is Satan, and it's going to be nice to this kid, and super weird. Like, is that how the AI is programmed to like claim to be the son of Satan and one of the Nephilim, one of the ancient giants? Like, I don't think so. Maybe deep in the program someone's like, you're going to be a Nephilim, you're going to be the son of a giant. Let's see what they think of that. Maybe, I don't know, but I have a feeling that's not the case. So interesting, just really interesting. The talk goes on. They talk about demonic possession and all this kind of stuff. It's a really good video if you're into that kind of thing. But it's good to remember, I think, that we are in a world, as the modern or the Haunted Cosmos guys say, we're not just flesh and bones. We live in a spiritual reality. Or that's a paraphrase. I don't know exactly how they put it, but like you're not just flesh and bones. There's spirit, and we live in a world where there's spiritual activity, and demons are real, and so are angels, by the way. Anywho, so we have to ask the question: is this demonic? Are these 3 cases demonic? And I would say that it's impossible to know for sure, because all this is like second, third, fourth hand. It's hard to get close enough to actually know how true this is. But let's assume that the cases that we've heard are true. I think we can say it's very, very likely that that's what's going on. But I think it leads to some interesting questions. So the first of which is, are they relegated? Let's assuming that these are demons, for the sake of argument. Are they relegated to AI? Like, is there something about AI that just makes it easier? Because I was watching this one video and they were talking. I don't remember what it was, but this chess master played an AI. It wasn't chess. Sorry, it was. Was it Go? Whatever that like Asian game is with the white and black pebbles or whatever. I think that's what it was. Is it called Go? But a master of that game was playing an AI, and of course I think they were people were physically putting it where the AI told them to, and like in the middle of the game, the AI seemingly made a mistake, this kind of weird and random move, but in the end it totally destroyed this master of the game, and it's not a move that is normal to like, it's not like a regular move. It's just this odd move that no person probably would have ever made, and it ends up making the AI win. I'm not saying that's demons. I'm just saying like AI's gotten super advanced, and like they're able to like it's very difficult for even like masters of games to beat like AI and like our computer programs now. So I wonder. Well, I brought up that point to say the people who created the code for the AI don't have an explanation for how the AI chose that move, because I don't think it's part of the programming that they wrote. It just seemed to learn that was a good move, which is really weird. And so, like, some of these things that we're seeing, it's just impossible for us to know, like, where this is coming from. Like, what, like, because AI is not like a human. Like, we have things that we keep to ourselves as humans that we think or do, and nobody knows about except for God, and demons and angels. But the AI, it's a string of codes. Like, you can map it out technically. Like, if you could pull out all of the numbers, you could map it out and see what's what. But it's interesting. Like, it's able to do things that we wouldn't have predicted, or we wouldn't have been able to see, which is super weird. So does that mean that it's easier for demons to interfere with that? And are demons relegated to the world of AI? Or, more likely, are they actually all over the internet to begin with? If you're like me and you assume that ghosts are demons, we already know from lots of like haunted paranormal shows and stuff that ghosts, the demons mess with like technology. So how far does that go? Maybe there's things on the internet that are actually demonic that we've just always thought was the internet. I don't have an example for that, but just food for thought. Maybe they've actually always been there doing things on the internet that we don't know of. And so the question is, like, I don't think all AI is demonic. I think AI is just like every other thing that man has created. It's not neutral, but it's it's not like spiritual in nature. But can it be used as a tool for the demons? Well, I mean, obviously. Even if you're going to claim that these 3 cases are not demonic, I think you would have to admit that, assuming that you believed demons in general, that they would have the ability to use these things. So even if you want to say, well, those specific cases aren't demonic, that doesn't disprove the idea that there could be other cases that are demonic. So that's my thoughts on that. I think that I would not be surprised if demons are a lot more active on the internet than we think. And so maybe AI, they've kind of got everybody spooked. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a Loab movie or like some kind of like AI demon movie. I wouldn't be surprised if that, coming out. Somebody's probably already thought of that and started doing it, but just some weird and creepy stuff, man. So are demons controlling AI? Probably not, but in specific cases, maybe. So as in like the totality of AI, I probably not. But in specific cases, can they use it? I would say probably absolutely. So keep your guard on when you're on the internet, folks, because we're just diving deeper into this whole of AI and technology and stuff, and our world is headed to an interesting place. So let me know what you think about that. What are your thoughts on these 3 cases? Do you agree that they're demonic? Do you think they're not? Let me know in the comments what you think. All I know is I'm excited for the next Haunted Cosmos podcast, which might come out this week or next week. I wish we could get them like every week. So I don't remember when it is, but I've heard the vampire one, or they've said the vampire one is pretty lit, so I'm pretty excited about that. So we'll see. But till next time, peace.